Hi guys, it's Muirhead here. I've just reached a place near my campsite, which is very near to a place called Kielder in the Northumberland Forest Park, which is right in the north of England. To camp tonight, I'm going to actually hike up through the woods a bit over that direction and cross the border into Scotland, where I'm from, find somewhere to nick down for the night, and it should be good. Midges are pretty bad up here. It's about 8 o'clock now, so should probably hit the road pretty soon. Have about an hour and a half, 2 hours tops before it's completely dark. So plan is to hike about 45 minutes, set up camp, try and find some dry wood and some kindling for a fire and get it going with a fire stick, and then maybe sit down, have a cup of coffee, have a little nip of whiskey later and chill out. So see you for now. So just a little update on my progress now. I've come off the main car park and I'm hiking up this little track. Beautiful evening tonight, as you can see here. It was rather overcast earlier, but the sun has come out. Everything's looking calm and serene. You probably can't see in the camera, but the midges are massively bad. Now, I grew up in Scotland and I used to holiday with my family on the west coast. It's notorious for midges. My dad and I have been out on several camping and fishing trips and just had to abandon camp and run to the car and go home because we're just getting eaten alive. So I'm hoping it's not going to be a reenactment of that tonight. The ground's pretty damp here. It's obviously had heavy rain in the last few days. The temperature just now is about 11 degrees or something. And the forecast is pretty good. No more rain forecast overnight, which is helpful. But I'm thinking I might struggle to find some dry wood, particularly given that I'm going to be using deadfall as opposed to cutting down trees, because I'm not sure about the laws up around here. So hopefully after another 20 minutes or so of hiking on this little track, I'll be able to nip off into the woods, maybe dig in a little bit, see if I can find a nice flat spot of ground, find some wood, get some dry kindling, fire starter of some sort, and yeah, plan is to get this tent up straight away, get everything prepared, then get a fire going. If I can't get the fire going, I guess I'll just huddle in my tent, but yeah, that's the plan for now. If you look up there, you can see just about that the sun's poking out from behind that cloud, so feeling good. I'll check in again soon. Long story short, guys, I'm going to make a run for it, try and find a different spot, because the midges are absolutely killer. Don't know if you can see my hand here. Oh, they're just swarming all over me. If I hadn't brought that midgie net for my head, I would be dead just now. My other hand's even worse. Yeah, it's probably because I've kicked up all the grass trying to pitch the camp. Totally underestimated how bad the midges are in the north of England compared to Scotland. Oh my word. So instead of sitting here getting eaten alive all evening, you can see the swarms of them there. Absolutely millions of them. I would just be sitting here trying to crack out a fire, getting eaten alive. I'm going to move on. Might head back past the car, try and find a spot that's less wooded, just pitch the tent, get on with it, and tomorrow I might hike into the woods and do some bushcraft. So sorry if that's a disappointment for anybody watching, but needs must. I'm going to get munched alive if I stay here any longer. So getting out here. Here approaches my trusty steed. His name is Marco Polo, so named after the famous explorer, because that's what he is too. Exploring the twisty lanes of North England, back roads of Scotland. A little bit of a flat tyre there, Marco. That's not too good. But aside from this, thing of beauty. Yeah. Kielder. Very peaceful, very serene, very still, and uncharacteristically no clouds at the side of the water so far off the midgy beasts. So I'm going to set my tent up the lane a bit. You can see a kind of patch of grass up there. and then I'll come down here and chill by the side of the lake for this evening. You know, maybe boil up some water if I can get a fire going, and have a beer, have a whiskey, chill out and take in the sunset. I think the sun's dipped behind the horizon there, but still pretty stunning, eh? So the tent's up. Not the best pitch of my career, to be honest. There she blows in all her glory. Yeah, probably about 7 foot long. The entrance is at the side here. Brilliant tent. I've not actually joined the two layers together yet, so it's a bit floppy, but as you can see there's a mesh layer in there. Get the old midgeroos out. Coleman Exponent. Again, I believe this is called Coleman Kraz. Yeah, so that's for later. Well, this is slightly embarrassing, folks, but midges were so killer out there that I've just resorted to running back to the car and decided to drive around for a while and try and find a better spot. But I think it's just the time of year. It's been raining. Midges are out in force, man. Like, I can't remember the last time they were as bad. So to be honest, instead of driving an hour and a half back home, I think I'm just going to be a big wuss and sleep in the car, which I know is pretty pants and not what those of you in this video were looking for, particularly in the camping, but I'm going to do my best to get out tomorrow and hopefully the midges aren't so bad then. Sorry this has been a bit of a flop, but it's been interesting watching if nothing else, eh? So, oh, honestly, these midges, I'll try and show you the damage they've done to me, right? And I'm a Scot. So yeah. Yeah, you can probably see those red marks all up my hand. They're just from where the midges have been absolutely gnawing at me for the last couple of hours. I know many people have it worse in other parts of the world, you know, with mosquitoes and what have you, but honestly, midges are the blight of British campers. This reminds me of the last time I was out, actually. Hopefully you can see me. Yeah, in Lewis a couple of summers ago, which is out in the Outer Hebrides off the west coast of Scotland. I was out there with my then fiancée Rachel doing some fishing, and I think it was about this time of year again, probably June, July time, and I can tell you Lewis is perhaps the worst place on earth for midges. So we were out fishing. Fortunately we had some midgie nets and stuff, so we were able to stay out for like 4 or 5 hours. But yeah, long story short, the midges were so bad that they just infested everything. And Rachel sat by the side of the loft for most of the time reading a book, and when she got back to my family's house, she couldn't find the page she was on for a while, and then realised it was the page which had hundreds of dead midges on it. So yeah, they even get into your books. So yeah, why don't you let me know what your pet hates are out camping? I've had several trips like this one where I've had to flee at the clouds of little annoying nyaffs. What's your pet hate? Is it a mosquito? Is it some other type of weird tropical bug? Maybe if you're from a fun country, it's something like bears. You know, what's your pet hate when you're out camping? I'm talking anything. Socks getting wet, you know, forgetting your toilet roll. There's countless things that would annoy people. I'm going to put midges at my #1 camping hate of all time, just because of times like this, and because they're so small and insignificant looking, but they're just so annoying. You know, you just can't think, you don't think that something that small could have such an ability to irritate you, you know, to the point that you're going to abandon your trip. But yeah, hopefully the Polo here, old Marco boy, will keep me safe tonight from the midges, and I'm hoping that in the morning they'll have dissipated somewhat. It'd be awesome if there's a bit of a wind tomorrow. A good breeze helps to keep them off. And actually, when you're hiking, they don't particularly affect you. So maybe if I can't stay in one place and the midges are still bad in the morning, maybe I'll just hike for a few miles and you know, take in the scenery around here. It's actually pretty nice. I'm not sure how well you can see, folks. Steamy windy, so you don't really want to let the midges in, but it's nice out there. It's a nice still evening. I'm fairly sure that's Scotland, or at least that's Scotland up there. And if you turn the camera around about that direction, that's England to the south. Do you notice anything? They look strikingly similar, but they couldn't be more different. Anyway. Oh man, midges running again. Okay. I'm going to shut this off for now. I'll be back in a sec and maybe show you what little beer I'm going to be drinking. So tonight's tipple of choice, ladies and gentlemen, is a Brewdog Punk IPA. It's a Scottish beer, and the brewery, I think, is just outside Aberdeen, so that's home turf for me. Brewdog are a great little company which have done really well and expanded recently, and I think I got this in a supermarket, so you know, given that a few years ago when I was a student they were just getting started, it's remarkable progress by them. I've had this a few times. You get Brewdog bars as well. It's a lovely kind of light hoppy IPA, and it goes down smooth with pretty much anything. So cheers guys, I'm going to enjoy this. Just to give you a sense of the perils which drove me to take shelter in the car tonight, look at this. Not content with munching me to bits out there, they're trying to get in. Trying to smash through the glass. It's like this around the whole car, man. Midges just... owie. I've lost focus. It's bad, trust me. Look at that. Ah! They're just everywhere trying to get in. Now, if I was in my tent, eventually all the ones that had made it inside with me might have died, but every time I got up to the toilet through the night, or even slightly opened the zip for ventilation or what have you, they would all be piling in, and it would be a very long, itchy night. And you know, to be honest, I'll probably be nipping out to the toilet at some point tonight. It'll be bad enough going from the car and coming back in. But yeah, curse off the midges. Nasty, horrible little things. Aikava, aikava. Well, good morning, boys and girls. That's me. Awake. It was a pretty rough night, to be honest. My advice to anybody who owns a Volkswagen Polo would be don't sleep in it. Impossible to get comfortable, especially if you're tall like me. I broke up my camping mat actually and tried to curl up in the back and then put it on the driver's seat and laid it back, but oh, I kept waking up. It was stiff, nasty. Wondered possibly if I might have just been better to go stick with the tent. But anywho, good news is it's a lovely day. It's the sun's out and there's a fairly solid breeze out there, which is good. That's what I was saying last night about the breeze being good for keeping the midges off. So I'm feeling stoked today to get out and have a bit of a hike, a bit of a walk around, and see if I can do some bushcraft. Yeah, I was reminded yesterday that there are good little diagrams of shelters in the SAS Survivor's Handbook. That's something I had when I was young, and a great book. We used to use it and go up to the woods and try out all these things. So I printed off one of the shelters in there. It's just quite a simple lean-to shelter with the sides filled in, and then a fire reflector in front of it. So I guess the idea is that you're in the shelter, and then the fire is between the shelter and the fire reflector. Anyway, probably rambling a bit because I'm a bit tired, but that's the plan for today. Hopefully the tiredness wears off and hopefully the midges stay and keep their distance from me. So yeah, we'll update you when I'm out and about. Well, hello again. That's me all awake. Had some breakfast. There's a little local shop down the road in Kielder which was excellent. Had some nice bottles of water and stuff as well. So, shortly I will be hiking up that way, up the track a bit, about a mile. There's a turn off, a kind of rougher track going off that, and it seems to wind its way up by a little river up the hill. So I might hike a couple of miles up to there, then nip off into the woods and see if I can find a little spot to do some bushcraft and get that shelter on the go. Weather's still good, nice and windy, bit of a breeze. I think once I get up a bit, obviously it's going to be even windier. So yeah, I'm feeling more positive about the bug situation. Yeah, time now is just after 11. Should be at the camp by about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and yeah, I'll get started on that shelter. Until then. Just thought I'd do a little snippet on the boots I'm using today. For those of you who are interested, these are bracer boots, which I've had for quite a long time now. I'd say 8 years, something like that. They're Gore-Tex, leather, really good boots. Never had any problems with them whatsoever. I think you have to recondition them sometimes, but that's quite easy to do. Yeah, very waterproof, very durable. Some creases and crinkles, but aside from that, no signs of wear, and that's after 8 years of using them, you know, a good few times every year. So fully recommend the bracer boots if you're looking for boots to buy. I think these set me back around about 120 quid back then. So I'm sure they have similar models these days, or that you'd be able to get your hands on a pair of these bad boys for a bit less than that. So as you can see, I've stumbled onto this old track here, and it's right next to a river. Don't know if you can see from here, probably not. Quite a fast flowing river down there. Try and get a better shot of it in a second. Beautiful day, beautiful track. Follow this for as long as you can, because if there's an easier option, you should always take it. And hopefully, yeah, find somewhere convenient to go off soon. Lovely brown river. Hoping you can see that the water flowing down there has this kind of very tinny brown tinge. I think because of the sediment that the water's picking up as it makes its way down. But it reminds me of my time growing up, going to my grandparents in oh wow, look, there's some kind of little gravestone there. Somebody's buried there, or maybe a dog, I'm not sure. Anywho, yeah, it reminds me of the trips I had over to Argyll, which was where my mum's parents were, my grandparents, and my granddad basically built his own house on some land near a place called Lochgilphead, and he built his house from scratch with his own father, did all the electrics and the plumbing etc. himself. Quite a feat of engineering, and I really look up to my granddad because he's a great engineer, very kind of ingenious, always devising little contraptions that would help him to control the garden, or, you know, little gadgets to help him clip leaves from high branches, building fences, even when he's an old boy in his 70s and 80s. But anyway, yeah, when we went there, he piped the water from a burn that went through the land into the house, and there's obviously some kind of filtration system that he'd installed, but it didn't take out that brownish tinge in the water. And so I remember being slightly freaked out as a kid when you go to get a drink of water out the tap in a glass and it is kind of yellowy brown colour. My mum would always say, "Ah, no, I won't do you any harm, son, you know, just drink it." And it never did, but interesting story there. Brown water is good for you, or at least brown water doesn't do you any harm. So yeah, nice little analogy for you. Just thought I'd point out this wall here, some kind of nice little boundary division. Up in Scotland we call that a dry stone dyke, and you know, these walls have been used for to mark territories or even keeping livestock for hundreds of years in the UK, and they stand the test of time. So that one in particular, that could have been there for a couple hundred years easy. Basically it's just blocks of stone laid on top of one another in a kind of logical fashion, and it's pretty solid. Oh, it's windy. Excuse the wind. Yeah, pretty solid, pretty durable, and it's one of these things that we've not really done anything better. You know, nowadays we probably build walls with cut stones and concrete, and I'd say the labour that goes into that is far more strenuous, and these things are just as good. You can see the wall stretches all the way down there. It's crumbled in parts, but very effective system of building walls. There you go. I'm in the forest now, ladies and gents, and I'm just hiking uphill a little bit trying to find a nice suitable spot for my shelter. I've got a little diagram sheet, a little plan for it, which I'll show you shortly. But basically, I don't have an axe. I'll be looking for deadfall. This is the kind of wood you want, you know. It's pretty intact little tree that's deadfall, as long as it's not too rotten. That's a good crossbeam kind of piece if you're making a lean-to shelter. A couple of them set up in that kind of angle. Sticks across the back of it. Fill in the gaps with some foliage and some scraps of stuff, keep the wind out. As you can see, quite a lot of deadfall around here, so I shouldn't be stuck for materials. And I've also seen a lot of ferns, things like that, which are very good for filler if you're wanting to make walls. Yeah, ferns can go pretty big. And oh look, I've come across a little camp. Someone's already been here. Wow, so yeah, there you can see somebody's old fire pit. That's cool. Obviously the stump there is positioned to reflect the heat back to them, sitting on this log here. I'm not the first person here. I'm not going to disturb this person's camp because that would be a little bit rude. You know, do to others as you would have done to yourself. That's from the Bible. Yeah, good little spot. I can't see a shelter anywhere, so which makes me think that somebody's pitched a tent here, and that's just been their little spot for cooking and chatting and chilling. Nice wee spot, and no midges thus far. I've been stood still for a couple of minutes now. Yeah, so this proves that at least that I'm not crazy to be hiking up into this area. Other people have been here and thought it's a good spot and obviously stayed the night. So I'll search on for a while and check in when I've established a spot for myself. Come across another little camp here. Slightly annoying, to be honest. There's an old mangled tent which seems to have been used as some kind of windbreak. Another one there. Rubbish everywhere, you know, bags, old barbecue, beer bottles. These are things that aren't really going to biodegrade, are they? So unless the people are planning to come back here and tidy this up later. Pretty shocking. You shouldn't be treating the forest like this, you know. Should be treating it with more respect. So yeah, finger of wrath from Jim. Let's hope they didn't hear me saying all that, eh? So I'm still hiking around, guys. Shortly after I ticked off those campers, I came across another camp which was active. There's people in the tent, and so I decided to hike on, give them some space and some privacy. This wood is incredibly hard to navigate because it's just an utter carnage field, you know? Dead trees everywhere. Over there you can just see this kind of mess of mangled trees. Obviously you get a lot of wind up here. Conditions are damp. There's a lot of rotting wood. You have to pick your way through pretty carefully. You know, there's some woods that I go to and I take my mountain bike and think, oh, I could nip through here. But this is definitely not one of them. Trees branch through the spokes over the handlebars, right on your puss. But anyway, I'm gonna hike through here until I come out into a bit of an opening and settle there and get started hopefully soon. It's been about an hour since I departed, so about 12 o'clock just now. Hopefully I can just settle down soon. And so here we have it, the camp spot, situated beautifully at the edge of the forest line. Looking down there you can see the river, and looking up there the hill. Lovely kind of view to be looking out at today. It's pretty sparse around here. Trees seem to be all stripped of their branches. The only reason I can think of is the wind. But I'm going to find a spot which gets good light, hunker down, make a fire, and then gather some pieces of wood and get them slightly organised so I can start making the shelter. So yeah, just to demonstrate how rotten the wood is around here, I've just seen a tree behind me which is rotten all around the bottom, bark's peeling off. Looks like it could go with a push, so when you're making a camp like this you've got to be aware of these things, that there might be stuff above you or around you which you fall onto during the night and really do some damage. So I'm going to go around, take this tree out, find other trees that look a bit shaky and just get them out of the way so that I can have that peace of mind that nothing's going to fall in the heat today. So watch this. The tree must be about 30 feet tall. So it's not going all the way down, but I've pushed it down far enough that I'm confident it's not going to blow back or blow this direction. These ones seem a bit more solid. I'm hoping they are because I'm going to build a shelter between them. Not sure how well you can see, but I'm going to swing the beam across these two trees, and that'll give me space to stick some beams at the back, make a bit of a roof, probably fill in the walls on either side, and if I have time I might do a bit of an overhang just so that the rain runs off. This spot to the left here is where I'm going to have my fire, and also if I have time I might build a bit of a fire deflector. It can be as simple as just a few logs piled on top of each other to reflect the heat back towards the shelter. So for now I'm going to gather a nice firm cross beam for this bit, some wood to put on top, and there's plenty of moss and material that will be perfect for filling in the gaps and keeping the wind out. So yeah, on to the job. Bit of a fire going now. Obviously I don't need it for heat, but you can see that smoke coming off it. Just to keep the midges at bay, it's helpful. You can see also that it's positioned on a rock between two other rocks. The reason for that is, in a forest like this, you don't want to be just making your fire right on the ground, because believe it or not, it can the ground itself can be flammable, and it's a method by which forest fires are started. So you want to be making it on some kind of base. If you dig down a little bit and you find sand, that's cool. Otherwise, try and make a base of rocks or something just to stop the fire itself seeping down into the ground. Safety tip. Just boiling up some water here in the fire. Placed nicely on the rocks. Have a cup of coffee in a little bit. So I'm just about to have some lunch here. I've got some noodles in that pot there. Quick run around the shelter so far. As you can see, it's taken shape. I've got the supporting beam across the top. I've got plenty of roof beams lying back across the other side, and you can see that I've erected some portion of the sides too. So the plan is to keep making some cross beams, adding more branches, and then filling in the gaps with some of this lovely moss that's dotted around. And battery in the camera is pretty low, so I'll probably just show you the finished product before I leave. Any questions about the building process itself, then please feel free to comment underneath the video. Lunchtime by the fire. Burning nicely there. Spicy noodles. Can't beat them. So the roof's fairly taken shape now. You can see I've got loads of cross branches across it. It's only a couple of inches between each one. I'm now going to lay the moss on top. So this is it then, the finished article. My little fire here, and there's the lean-to shelter. I filled in the roof with about half a foot of moss. That should keep most of the rain off, or at least slow it down. So if you're just camping up for a night or something, this is the perfect kind of shelter. I will take a bit of time to fill in the sides there and give it the same moss treatment. But yeah, pretty much done here. As you can see, there's plenty of space to lie down inside. It's not far from the fire, but a safe enough distance that I won't get sparks. And if I sit down in here, you'll see the roof is quite compacted. No chinks of light showing through. Maybe a few bits of moss hanging down. And it's a lovely view out the front door. There's the fire dying down, and you can see the river down there about 50 foot below me, and the valley heading up there. So yeah, unfortunately I have to head back to Newcastle tonight, but I should be able to return here quite soon. Plan is to do a bit of a wild camp, maybe just take a sleeping bag and a bivvy bag to go around it, and sleep out in the shelter. It's summer, it's warm, it should be awesome. Hopefully I can get a fire going next time as well, and the midges will keep away. So disappointed that I didn't get out last night and get camping properly, but it's been really fun today making the shelter, and I look forward to coming out again very soon. So yeah, tune in for the next episode. Wild camp here in the same spot. Maybe do a few more mods to the shelter. Maybe put a fire deflector just behind the fire there, so it kind of deflects the heat back towards the shelter. That'll be the next episodes. Thanks for watching, guys, and please do like, subscribe, comment with any questions and tips. Look forward to chilling with you next time. Bye now.